I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll now call the public hearing for the revenue neutral rate to order. And at this time, we'll accept any public comments regarding that.
Why is it 1 year?
I guess so.
Well, there's a couple issues here. My assessed value was increased by about 9%. With the assessed value or neutral value, just for the Marion City, it's only $36, which isn't unreasonable. But in the next one, I would have a very strong objection to, so I can't deal with it now.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, if they enact this for all the units that are in here, my taxes just for neutral will go up $312 a year. I think that's a pretty good chunk, keeping it at neutral, because your assessed budget has gone up significantly. I know it's an estimate. Generally, these estimates end up a little higher, at least been in my experience. So the tab gets even bigger when you consider all these units. And I think $300 is quite a bit of money. But on the proposed budget, it's even more significant.
Great. Thank you. Anyone else? And I will adjourn the public meeting, and I will call the public hearing for the 2023 budget hearing to order. Do we have any public comments regarding that?
Yeah, look at the other people here. This is where you're gonna get into this significant money. For the city, it's not real bad. It's my case, $111, which is more than double the neutral. In fact, it's about 3 times. On the proposal, when you take all the units and put it together, my tax from last year, which was $3,579, goes to $4,064. That's $40 a month. Now, I'm on a fixed income. That's a pretty good hunk of money. It's $485 for the year. That's an estimate. And I very strongly object to the proposals you have. Surely you can find some place, you can save some money, keep it at the neutral. I can buy that, but this proposed budget between all the units is just, I think it's out of hand. And I object.
Okay, thank you. I'll now adjourn the public hearing, and I'll call the regular city council meeting to order, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
And a second. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried 4-0. Before I entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda, we have, under the approval of minutes in the consent agenda, the date is incorrect. It's July 25th, 2022 is what it reads, and it should read August the 8th of 2022. So, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda and amend the minutes to indicate the date of August the 8th of 2022. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Then moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Number 5, resolution 2219 exceeding the RNR for the 2023 budget. Tiffany?
In the packets is a copy of the resolution. Computer just froze. Resolution 22-19, and this is a required resolution to approve by city council. Council wishes to exceed the R&R rate for the 2023 budget.
Okay. Any questions? Discussion? I would move to approve resolution number 22-19. Do I hear a second?
Second.
And moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. 2023 budget approval, number 6. Tiffany?
At your workstations, you have received the budget workbook packet. We've gone over this in our work sessions, and we incorporated, all of council's discussions from what previously occurred. So basically tonight we are just needing approval, so that we can move forth with our 2023 budget.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2023 budget approval. And second,
Second.
move second. Any further discussion regarding that? Questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Number 8, resolution 22-20 KDOT cost share grant application, resolution of support.
Number 7. You need to do 7 first.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
KDOT
You need to do 7 before we talk about 8.
Okay, KDOT cost share grant application.
Confused me, Mayor.
Yes.
Do they have them all? Okay,
You
I've
need a
got mine.
copy?
Okay. You threw a loop in there for me.
I'm sorry, what?
You threw a loop in there by going to 8 before 7. Okay, so at your workstations tonight is a, the thing with the yellow on it there, everybody's looking at it. Okay, so these are once again, this is another reapplication. We've applied for this before with this KDOT cost share program. We have not yet been awarded this, so we're gonna try it again. We've changed up some of the terminology, how we're approaching it, attacking it, trying to see if we can't get KDOT to bite off on it. But in a nutshell, what it is replacing all the curb from Lawrence to Main on Elm Street that hasn't been replaced yet. We've replaced some of that along through there over the years, but not all of it. And then fixing the culvert under Elm Street, which is not in good shape at all. You can tell by that street settling out continually and the asphalt patch we have on it. And then also over on Locust Street, repairing that box bridge that's over there. On Locust Street, the box itself is in good shape, but you can tell by looking at the concrete wing wall, we have huge issues off the end of that box. In fact, I went down and took some more pictures just the other day to try to compare to the last couple of years. And the box itself, and like I said, it's fine, but it's hanging out about 4 feet of the box is hanging out in the air. There's nothing underneath the box, and there's nothing on the sides of the box. Literally, the box culvert is what's holding up the street and that concrete retaining wall right now for about when you drive, you can see right up against that west side box, you'll see a little bit of a low point where water kind of pools. Everything below that is only being held up by the brick and the box. There's nothing underneath it anymore. So in fact, I've talked to Tim, and if we get any more rains, we're talking about maybe closing down the west side. So we kind of create a one-way street right across that bridge. That street's not a high-use street, so we can probably do that and it'll be fine, but we might have to get to that point just because there's not anything holding it up anymore. Anyway, that Locust is on there as well. So those two cost estimates together, the total construction cost is $232,700. It's a number about halfway down on the right-hand side.
our options with this grant, and this is why we need to do this before the resolution. The options with this grant, it's a minimum 15% local match. So I've got the number on there. If we get a 15% local match, that'd be 34,905 from the city side. You upped it to 20% and then 25%. So I've given you those options just to see where those numbers fall. Over on the left-hand side in the highlighted boxes, you'll see design roughly about 30,000, inspection about 45. Now we always, since right here, our inspection always tends to be a lot less than that, but we need to plan for worst case. Cause that we only get paid for by the hour. So as long as Zach, doesn't constantly just look out his window at the project, we'll be fine.
Okay.
So,
Is there any of this that can be in-kind work?
no. None of this can be in kind of the 15%. If you wanted to do 15% cash, and then 20% above that is in kind, yes.
Okay.
But the baseline percentage has to be cash match.
Gotcha.
Also, none of the design or inspection can be in the grant on this program. The grant can only pay for the contractor role. So what I did in the lower highlighted box and said, hey, if you pick the 15% cash match, your actual cost to the city would be that 34% of the 109,905. Now, if you chose to do some in-kind, we could actually tack that on later if you wanted to do that when we're going through the design.
Okay.
Especially if the estimate kind of climbed, we could offset it in the elevation if for some reason. We've tried to keep, as we do with all our estimates for you guys, we've tried to keep it, on the more conservative side, the higher side. We don't want to get caught by surprise. So right now, if we bid this today, I'm hoping that these, instead of 232, maybe we're in the 180 range or 190.
Okay.
So,
But would the in-kind participation be between us and the contract?
no, we can count it. Let's just say the city wanted to do, I'm trying to think on this project, let's just say the city wanted to go in and remove the curb. That would be, you'd go in and do it, and that'd just be something we wouldn't pay the contractor for. But we can count it as a credit in the grant match.
Okay.
That's about the biggest thing I can see on this project that we would be able to do maybe in kind, is the curb removal. I'm not sure if there's anything else on this one that.
Yeah, what are you to haul rubble off?
Yeah, maybe haul it off, we could do some hauling.
You say you've done this before, what percentage was in your grant application?
Okay, so, in past years, 15% is the minimum. If we, historically, any project in the cost share that's submitted for 15% has, I'm not gonna say never, I'm gonna say it's probably less than 5% been funded, when you only ask for 15%. Typically, we need to be at least in the 20% local match to be competitive. And of course, the higher you go, the more competitive you can be.
But
So-
do you remember what your percentage has been in the past? You said you tried this before.
Oh, in the past with this project, I think the last time we submitted 25? I think it was 25.
And
Did not get it, no.
Did not get it.
And it all depends on who else we're up against each
But you don't know
round.
what that is.
No.
Now, both of these projects are listed on the capital improvement.
Okay, good, I'm glad to point out. Both of these areas are on the capital improvement program. If we get this grant, then that would just be less money we'd have to spend on that bond. The match, your 15 or 20 or 25% cash match, can still come from the bond to pay this match.
What's the timeline on the grant application?
Well, the grant application is due September 19th, I believe, it's due 15th or 19th, right in the middle of September is when the applications are due. We will find out later in the fall, and we wouldn't be able to get reimbursed for the project until, I don't think this was clear till the next Kansas FY. I think the fall round, they already have programmed into this year, so. They said they have $11 million available for this grant round. In the spring, they had about $7 million available for that grant round. And yes, we applied for this one in the spring, but every single one of the spring projects that got awarded, because we're in a highly political voting year, they all went to larger metro communities.
So you're looking at next fall as a possible,
Construction, we could be in construction next summer on these.
okay.
In fact, if we aren't in construction by next summer with the Locust Street, it's gonna take it a little while yet, but at some point, we are going to have to close that street.
Right.
I recommend right now, we start looking at least closing half of the west side, so we narrow it to about 75% of the total street width. And at some point, we might have to keep moving that back.
Is that a collector or artery street?
It's really just a residential. It's used somewhat as a little bit of a collector, but it's not gonna be a huge impact if we close it down to one lane only. If it's completely closed, it'll cause a little bit of impact,
That's in
but there's only residential along it.
okay.
So tonight, we need to decide when we pass the resolution.
Which
If it's passed.
dollar,
Which one we
yeah.
wanna do,
Which percentage and dollar amount, yes.
and you recommend 25%?
Well, especially since you're gonna have it in your bond, yes, to be competitive, I would recommend the 25%. It puts us more competitive with this, and we're gonna try to do this project anyway, so if we can get any grant money to offset it, we might as well take a little bit, and even at the 25%, we're still getting 175,000 from KDOT. That's 175,000 in the bond, overall bond, we'll be able to maybe do another half block or something somewhere else with the bond money, if we can get this money from KDOT, or 175,000 we don't even have to expend on that other project unless bond, you end up having to take at the end of that
But
other.
if we're not awarded this, then we're looking at, no bond hasn't been sold yet, but if we're not awarded, then we're looking at the total expense coming
From the bond,
from the
right.
bond.
Because these two projects have to be done one way or the other. And if we aren't successful here in this fall, we can apply for it again next spring, up the percentage a little bit more. What we always do between grant rounds is we contact KDOT and ask them that question, okay, why weren't we competitive? Some years we get the answer of, there was just more competitive projects that fit with what we wanted to do more so.
Mark, what's your recommendation?
Well, you know, part of something's better than all of nothing.
Right.
And I don't wanna be penny wise and pound foolish. So, and you tried 25% before,
I'll let
and
that
didn't
one.
get anywhere. So if you were to up it to 30%, I mean, I just wanna push and there is no guarantee toward being awarded anything from KDOT.
Yeah.
But if you push it up another 5%, you know, I know how much money you're gonna spend, but you're better off spending a little bit more now in order to get their free dollars. so to speak. And with time is money in every municipality, I would imagine there's gonna be a number of applications for these projects.
Okay, I would like to restate, I misspoke, I apologize. Last spring, we actually applied for the cost share in the industrial park. So it was a year ago that we did this one.
Yeah.
So, but I'm looking up to see what that percentage was at that time. It was. It's actually 20% the last time we applied. I know we bounced around with the percentage, but the last time we did apply for this one specifically, it was 20%.
Do you have any numbers for 30%?
I don't, but I can figure them up real quick.
Okay, why don't you do that?
Well, the difference between 20 and 25
Yeah.
is about 12,000, so if you add 12 to 25, you come up with 70.
Yeah, but if you want it for the resolution, I need to get them exact. Yeah, it'd be that same difference.
Should be $69,810, I think. What I came up with.
900 and what?
69,810. 30% of that, 232,700.
Then the state share would be 232.
Of
$62,890.
course, for reimbursement purposes, they consider the bid amount, not the,
Right. When we come down to it, this is just the application.
so
It-
these are estimated numbers that.
Right, this would also be a max,
So
in
we're
other
gonna hold
words.
this to the 30, but
Right.
the other could change based upon the bid that comes in. And ultimately, the
It
council.
could, it could
has the right
change
to retain.
down, not up.
Right,
So if we ask for, I'm gonna use the 75 number real quick, if we ask for 174, but after we're all done with construction, if the contractor 75% of their cost was 184, you guys pay the 10,000 over
right.
that original grant number.
But
But if
when
it
the
comes
bid-
in at 164, that's just a little bit less you
But
get
when the bids
reimbursed.
come in, the council can sit there and say, we're not gonna do this.
Right,
project."
but the other thing we do, since you're newer and don't understand completely how we operate, we always build our OPCs higher, and also when we bid projects, we build in some cushion quantities. Because what I don't want to do is have to walk back in here at the end of the project and ask for a change order up. I wanna be able to walk
So
in
you're
here and
building
say,
contingency
if
in
it
the
were,
number.
yes, we build in some contingency quantity in the bid. In case we gotta go 5 foot further in curb, we do a little bit less in street patch
But
than,
even with your contingencies, if it comes in higher, and the council does not wish, they are not handcuffed to
No.
accepting the cost share funds.
you said looking at 30.
Well, once you let everybody hear your comment.
Okay, I've got your number if you want it. The KDOT share on the 70-30 split would be 162,890 on the KDOT side and 69,810.
Comments, council?
I mean, my thought is, if we don't, I just wanna make me 100% clear, so if we put the grant in and we get accepted for the grant, we put it out to bid, even if the bids come back at this number, and we go, well, right now is not just a good time for us, we can say, no, we're not accepting these bids and give the grant funds back.
Oh, yeah.
Is that accurate?
Oh, yeah.
How can it hurt to apply for it?
Oh, yeah,
The only thing you gotta worry about,
We
the only thing,
know.
the only thing in that scenario is if you do that, you're gonna wanna have a good valid reason to KDOT why you're not accepting the grant.
So we don't blacklist ourselves.
Yeah, because otherwise you might blacklist yourselves for a couple of years in applying for the next grant round. So, I mean, if there's a good valid, let's say a storm comes through and you gotta use all your reserves and something else for something else, okay. But if all of a sudden you just say, we decided now not to do it, better hope you don't wanna reapply in a couple of years.
what's the council's feelings about the percentage match?
We applied at 20% last time.
20% last time.
Specifically.
The only difference with the last time we applied for, we actually had 3 sections on the project. We also had on I call it a bridge, is that build-up area on South First, just south of, the building center back entrance, south of Fleming's, going across the old Cottonwood Channel. That was also included on the last application. So we were asking for 20% of the 3 areas. Or, I'm sorry, we were gonna match 20% on those 3 areas.
Comment?
Right, I think, like Mark said, take the money and bid it up to bid,
30%?
yeah.
Very good. I think, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
So,
30% definitely gonna put you in a competitive, very competitive class. I mean, that's in a realm where, barring politicalness
okay.
of reviews, we should be in real good shape.
Any other questions? Comments? Thanks. Now let's move on to number 8, resolution 22-20, KDOT cost share grant application resolution of support. In that resolution, we would include,
The first blank on that resolution, we would need to fill in with the number 232,700, because that's the total project, not just KDOT share, that
okay,
goes in the first blank. And then in the second blank, where it's asking for percentage, you'd say the 30%.
Now, the first one, the 232, is not inclusive of inspection or
No,
engineering.
Right, it can't be.
That's ours.
Yeah, that's 100% local.
Okay.
Okay, so the second portion, whereas the city of Marion acknowledges availability of the required local matching, it'll be 30%, okay?
Right.
Everybody understand that?
Mhm.
I'll entertain a motion to approve,
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve resolution 22-20, with a 30% match to the city. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thanks very much. We will get the rest of the narrative written up so we can be competitive and get it turned in.
Okay,
Thank you.
Councilors, have any comments?
I drove, South Roosevelt Street the other day, where Davey's guys and our guys, did that work, and I think that turned out really nice, I'm
Yeah.
excited about that. And then I saw that, Davey's guys poured
They poured
all
today.
of,
Yep.
Coble there by Carlson's today, so.
Get poured and saw cut, so it should be open next Monday. I bet next Monday morning they open it.
So I think, I'm excited about that, that's a really good thing.
I've been hearing from people about, the electric poles in yards. How long are they gonna lay them?
They're part of the upgrade?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Good thing.
Steve, you know anything about that?
They shouldn't be laying there more than a week or two, but if they're laying there more than that, I can get on them and tell them that.
Is
I
it-
understand, I seen it in, when someone
Are
yard
those-
too.
But I guess it depends. I know there's some new ones still laying out there that they've pre-positioned, and there's some old ones that they've taken down, so.
And were they talking about the new ones that they've got pre-built or old ones
Well, I
mainly?
think both.
Both.
Okay.
We're still, we've been, with the power, telephone company trying to get them to get their stuff, internet to move them off our old poles, and it's just, it's a nightmare.
Okay.
So, but I will talk to them, you know.
Tim,
What's that?
Tim,
Yeah.
I had, I went down to the park today, there's some fencing laying up against some of the posts down there, is there a purpose for that or something?
Chingawassa committee's supposed to have taken them back to co-op and they haven't yet. I asked him about it a week ago, again, to move them out of there, or we're gonna take them to the shop, so.
Well, the grass is getting pretty high,
I agree,
I mean, they can't mow where they're at.
yeah.
I'd be a little concerned that some kid might run into one of them.
We'll just remove them tomorrow.
If only there was somebody here from the Chickawaza committee.
You want me to say something?
I already did twice, so.
Well,
The truck, Margot?
I'll see what I can do.
I think they belong, the co-op donated them, I think, or let
They
them
need to
use
go
them.
back to the co-op.